Nate Diaz was once the living embodiment of rebellion in the fight game, a man who could choke out Conor McGregor in front of millions, light up press conferences with unfiltered attitude, and walk to the cage like he owned the arena. His name carried weight far beyond the Octagon. Fans didn't just watch him fight, they felt like they were part of his war. But by 2025, the story had shifted. The same fighter who built his career on grit, defiance, and survival now lived in near silence. No fights, no trash talk, no headlines. His body was slowing down, his name was fading from conversations, and the sport he helped define was moving forward without him. He wasn't built in a fancy gym with corporate backing. Nate Diaz was forged in the cracked streets of Stockton, California, where danger was constant and survival was a daily choice. Raised in a struggling Mexican-American household, Nate and his older brother Nick learned early that no one was coming to rescue them. Their reality was fists, loyalty, and the simple rule that if you wanted out, you had to fight your way through. Nick, already a fighter, became both mentor and example. Nate followed him into everything: triathlons, jiu-jitsu, and even trouble. School wasn't important to him. Showing up and refusing to quit was. By the time he was 18, Nate was training with experienced black belts, getting beaten up in the gym, and understanding that pain wasn't an obstacle, it was the process. When Nate stepped into the Ultimate Fighter house in 2007 for Season 5, he was seen as Nick's little brother. Expectations were low, but he didn't care. He fought with relentless cardio, suffocating pressure, and submissions that appeared out of nowhere. His wins weren't just victories, they were statements. Nate cursed on the mic, smoked backstage, and fought as though nothing scared him. That was the Stockton mentality. You didn't beg for respect, you took it. His style wasn't about perfection, it was about defiance. He took punches and walked forward, blood running down his face, middle fingers raised. Fans saw themselves in him, the kid from nowhere who kept showing up, no matter how much the odds were stacked. As the UFC transformed into a corporate giant, Nate stayed the same. He didn't play the promotional game. He was a street fighter in a world of polished athletes. That refusal to bend made him a symbol for authenticity in a sport increasingly shaped by marketing. His moment of legend came on March 5, 2016, at UFC 196. Stepping in with less than 2 weeks' notice to fight Conor McGregor, the UFC's golden star, Nate wasn't expected to survive. But he weathered McGregor's early storm, found his moment, and submitted him in the second round. Afterward, his words, "I'm not surprised, mother asterisk 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 asterisk," became immortal in fight culture. Even losing a razor-close rematch didn't matter. Nate Diaz had cemented himself as an icon. Over the years, he fought a murderer's row of opponents. Michael Johnson, Donald Cerrone, Jim Miller, Jorge Masvidal, each bout a war. He never needed a belt to be a draw. His story, his grit, and his authenticity filled arenas. But those wars took their toll. Nate wasn't a protected fighter. He took damage and carried it with him. Behind the scenes, tension with the UFC grew. He demanded better pay and meaningful fights, while the promotion focused on younger stars and marketable personalities. Nate refused to fight for less than he felt he was worth, leading to long layoffs and missed opportunities. For him, it was about principle. In 2019, Nate returned and beat Anthony Pettis, the crowd roaring like it was 2016 again. But time was catching up. In September 2022, he fought Tony Ferguson in what became his final UFC fight at that time. Both veterans were battle-worn, but Nate submitted Ferguson in the fourth round with a guillotine choke. It was a perfect exit. A win, his head held high, walking away on his own terms. Yet, instead of a victory lap, he simply vanished. Post-UFC, Nate explored boxing. In August 2023, he faced Jake Paul. Many saw it as a payday, but the fight revealed a slowing Diaz. His punches lacked snap, his cardio wasn't the same, and he lost by decision. Then came a surprise in July 2024 when he boxed Jorge Masvidal, a grudge match years in the making. Nate threw over 700 punches and edged out a majority decision. There were flashes of the old fire, but it was clear he was no longer fighting prime contenders. He was battling ghosts from his era. That victory quickly soured. Nate sued the promotion Fanma, claiming they owed him $10 million from the Masvidal fight and had only paid a fraction, with late and incomplete payments. The lawsuit painted a messy picture. Poor organization, lack of promotional effort, and disrespect toward Nate's team. For a fighter who left the UFC to gain independence, this was a brutal twist. He found himself trapped in the same kind of exploitation he had always fought against. As the legal fight dragged on, Nate's public presence disappeared. He wasn't training openly, wasn't talking to the media, and wasn't calling out opponents. The once loudest voice in MMA was now silent. The sport moved forward without him. New fighters adopted his mannerisms, but without his authenticity. Broadcasters stopped mentioning him, and younger fans didn't know his significance. Highlight reels of his biggest moments lacked the original context. His absence wasn't just felt, it was erasing him. By early 2025, rumors hinted at a comeback. Nate teased matchups with Max Holloway for the BMF belt, a trilogy with McGregor, and even boxing Canelo Alvarez or Terence Crawford. But each proposal came with conditions. The fight had to be big enough, the money right, the stakes high. Behind the confidence, there was hesitation. People close to him said he had changed. He trained less, trusted less, and his body wasn't holding up the way it used to. Years of wars had left him with bad knees, possible concussion issues, and visible pain when walking. Fans began spotting him in public moving slowly, sometimes limping, his once smooth movement replaced by stiffness. His face carried the weight of every round he'd fought, every punch he'd absorbed. But Nate didn't want pity. He didn't want a farewell fight framed as charity. He wanted to be remembered as the Stockton soldier, the man who never backed down. The truth, though, was brutal. The sport had broken him in silence. No health coverage, no safety net, no protection. Now, in 2025, Nate Diaz is caught between legend and memory. He still sparks excitement when his name is mentioned, but it's quieter now. The roar has faded into cautious hope that maybe, just maybe, there's one last fight in him. But the clock is ticking, and the silence is heavy. The man who once embodied defiance now stands on the edge of becoming what every fighter fears most: forgotten. If you want, I can also layer in even more behind-the-scenes detail about his lawsuit, training camp struggles, and relationships with other fighters so it feels like a full investigative profile. That would make it hit even harder.